What's up, otakus? It's your SuperOtaku here, and tonight is something uh, we get to show off the collection tonight, and I've always been meaning to just get the books together and kind of present the books in an efficient manner so you can kind of see the whole collection and not be so disjointed. Um, Well, preparing for FenCom, it really forced me to kind of look at my collection through more of a, you know, um, long-term lens. Like, what do I want my collection to kind of reflect? And I think, I mean, this kind of what I'm going to show off tonight will showcase nicely where I think my focus should be more on. And I always used to think of myself as like you know, um, as like, somebody who set himself apart as a Jim Lee collector, someone really devoted and passionate about, uh, he's not, Jim's not my favorite artist. Neil Adams is my favorite artist, but Jim Lee definitely has been there since my early collecting days. He's just been somebody I've read, I've enjoyed throughout the entirety of my collecting days. Hey, what's up, Jens? Hey, Gordon. Oh yeah, the FenCom thing needs to be successful. We'll have an update. I really want to take at least 500. I want to at least make 500 in sales, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, back to Jim Lee. Yeah, Jim Lee is somebody who I looked up to because here's this Korean American guy really making a splash in comic books early on at Marvel, and then just setting that sales record with the connecting covers and then going to Image and like all the you know the upward trajectory of this man's career. It's just been inspiring as a fellow Korean American. Um, yeah, I mean, he's kind of the, you know, ideal standard when it comes to Korean American success. I mean, being the president of DC Comics and just having the adoration of so many fans, even in this collecting community, of course. So, I was humbled by, I'll just call him Wu Tang. Wu Tang came in and he was describing his collection, and I was just so humbled. I was just like, oh man, because this man's been going to like San Diego Comic Con and doing the Comic Con signings on exclusive stuff, on like he's doing marquees, he's getting it graded like 9/8. And so I was just like, I can't compete with that, man. I mean, that guy's spending so much money on that collection, and that's the kind of stuff that if you're a Jim Lee fan, like meeting him, getting the book signed, doing the CGC signing, having it come back a 9/8 and one of just a few, like of those opportunities. Um, I was really humbled by him. And Wu Tang, shout out to you, man. Nothing against you, man. I'm glad, you approach it that way. It's, I'm sure you've got some really, really high end stuff, and what are hoping to pick up more high end stuff. And I think my mindset should be there as well, but I just don't have, you know, I don't have money. I can't spend thousands on a trip and thousands to get books submitted and signed. And Unfortunately, I have to do it the old-fashioned way, just roll up my sleeves and dig and look on eBay for the sleeper deals, which we constantly do. A lot of what I'm going to show off tonight are sleeper deals off eBay, like snipes on auctions or something like that. But we picked up a lot of good stuff. Okay, we got a lot to get to, so let's get started. Now, before we start, there are some things. You're not going to see every signed item of Jim Lee. I've got some prints. Namely, I've got the connecting covers: Superman, Batman, Superman 204, Batman 608 second print. The connecting covers, I got those signed and sketched. Superman's in a 9.6, Batman's in a 9.2 by Jim Lee during Emerald City Comic Con. I did not want to pull that out just for display, so just know, those are the like peak items in terms of my collection. That is the peak signature stuff right there. So starting off with that, and then everything else is, kind of going to be up and down. This is really sort of a walkthrough of the history of Jim Lee, because I'm going to show it in sequential order. So all the signature books are going to be from earlier period to the later period. Okay. I did not prepare here in advance. I always got to set my camera up in front of you guys because I don't prepare stuff. All right, here we go. We're going to show the entire screen. Oops. What's going on? Okay, there we go. All right. So before we get to the signature books, I just wanted to kind of just this is a flex here. I picked up this cool. It's still sealed, but it's this great hardcover edition of Batman Hush. And they call it Absolute Batman Hush. What's going on there? Is this the first appearance of Absolute Batman in Japan? Well, we'll never know. I think they just mean this is this has all the interviews or the sketch art, all the over the years, they'll do like the 10th anniversary or something of Hush, and come out with some editions, and that's probably all in here. That's why they call it the Absolute, edition, Batman Hush edition. But I have no idea because it's in Japanese and I can't read. I guess I could find it online, but I haven't bothered to go into that much detail around this book. All right, that's the first one. So that was just kind of just to show you kind of when I'm out and about, what I'm looking at, what I'm trying to pick up. All right, we're going to start here with, again, from that Emerald City Comic Con signing. I had the opportunity to get 3 books signed. So I got the Superman, the Batman, and of course, I wanted to get his first work and cover on an Uncanny X-Men book. And he debuted here on Uncanny X-Men in Uncanny 248. And so he signed right up at the top here. We got the witness signature there. Came back in a 9.6. Wasn't too disappointed. It's a direct edition. Yeah, and a really nice add to the collection. But then, I ran across this on eBay as part of a a signature. The guy had multiple signature books, so I had an opportunity to pick up 3 or 4 of these books, and I forget what I paid for them, but it was he was giving me a great deal on them, and so we picked them all up. But yeah, we got a 90s signature. So here's the modern signature, and you'll see the evolution of this signature as we go through the books. But this is the 90s signature, and this is a newsstand, and it's a fabulous condition. So I said, I want both. So I got both in my collection. Um, yeah, this was signed probably during, when X Men was picking up, and he was signing a lot of books. And you get the 90s signature there in the silver. And then this was my Comic Con, uh, signature package with Jim Lee. So there you go. We're starting off strong, and I'm just going to show off the next book alongside the. As I put this package this away, going to show off this book as well. So I have. Um, I knew when I kind of set my mind on like what kind of stuff from Jim Lee do I want in terms of like what as a collector would satisfy me. And I kind of landed on like, you know what? I think I want like all the connecting covers. Um, I kind of want them all signed in the 90s era, like in a 90s signature. And I was even thinking of like making the request of Jim, like if I were to ever get these books signed, like the X-Men's, to like request him in the 90s signature, which I'm sure would annoy him because he's probably the muscle memory on that 90s signature is probably long gone. So, um, yeah, I don't think I'd want to do that to him. So, you have to look online for this kind of stuff. And so, fortunately, we've been pretty diligent about, you know, we've been pretty diligent about finding stuff like this on eBay, setting the um, notifications and stuff. I mean, it's really easy to find. There's actually quite a lot of Jim Lee signed books out there. Um, and people have just had them in their collections for many, many years. All right, so what I'm gonna flex now is my '90s X-Men one. I've been just talking. Um, yeah, this is the X-Men sort of signature collection, and there's one additional book missing here, but we'll just keep going with it. So, okay, but this is cover E, the gatefold edition. We got the '90s signature right there. This is cover A, which is quadruple signed. And I remember what I paid for this one. I paid $12. The lady just did not know what she had, and she accepted an offer for $12. And I got Chris Claremont, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Bob Harris's signature. This beautiful cover A. Now I'm going to try to connect it here for you so you get the effect. I don't think it's going to fit though. It's not going to fit. All right, we'll just connect two at a time then, I guess. Do something like that. We'll get some of these out of your way. So this is the one I was bragging to Wu Tang because Wu Tang had this amazing collection. So I was like, hey, hold up, you don't have what I have. So this here is cover B. And if you ever watched the video of Stan and Jim Lee, this was back when X-Men 1, this particular issue had sold 8 million copies. They did this artist feature. Stan talks to, Jim Lee and interviews him. And you could tell Jim was kind of nervous, and but it was kind of they had it's kind of scripted some of the stuff. You could tell he was just kind of like um, talking about the book and all that. But he's in the frame. He's holding up the books, and he's holding up this one in particular because the other X-Men, like the Magneto, the cooler covers were, I guess, sold out. He didn't have a copy of that. He just was sitting there holding this one, and it was a great exchange with him and Stan Lee on this book. And out of whatever fortune I had this opportunity, the guy, I think he passed away because I came back to him and he said, if you want the other book, because there was another signed book, Stan and Jim, and I just couldn't afford it at the time. But I said, hey, if I ever get my money back up, I'm going to come back for that second copy. I messaged him and he just never replied back. So I think maybe something happened to him. I don't know. Maybe he just stopped selling. I don't know. But it just seemed like he was out of commission. Just no responses or messages ever. Um, but anyway, he sold this one to me for like $120 at the time. This was just a little after Stan had passed, and I was just hungrily looking for a Stan Lee book to buy. And again, the gods smiled upon us. We brought this beauty, the one where they're talking about it in that video. The YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube. It's immortalized on YouTube now, and that video gives us insight into this beautiful complimentary signature book. All right, and then we've got cover. You'll see a lot of the gold pen signatures. I don't know why. It's just like he just seemed to like I guess he just had a gold pen with him, and he just signed all these X-Men covers in gold, which is beautiful. Good choice, and it just pops. Look at that. The 90s. You love the 90s. Oops, I did it again. The 90s signature right on the belt of Magneto. Great placement there. Loving it. And of course, I also have the annual here. This is just an iconic team cover here. I'm going to make that less bright. There we go. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, got the team cover here. And we've also got issue number 2 signed. I do want to get number 11 signed. And, for me, it's not about like slabbing it and getting it graded. So I may get my quarter bin X-Men 11 signed, the one that's all beat to hell and has a 25-cent sticker on it. I may just get that one signed out of spite to CGC. Out of spite. Like, I will get a low grade copy signed. That's the kind of collector I am. No, but I would not. I'm just jesting. Here we go. We've got this one kind of makes me sad. It makes me sad. Because when I got this book, I was all excited. I was like, oh man, we got it signed by Rob Liefeld here. 90 signature Jim Lee there. All we need to do is get Sam Keith's signature. And I made all, I just was waiting, like, if he's ever in this area, if he was in Portland, we go to Portland and meet him. But yeah, he sadly, suddenly passed away. He had a really you know, complicated illness. And so, yeah, just a missed opportunity there. But more sadly, we lost Sam Keith. Um, we got more 90s goodness here. Uh, there are a bunch of like Wildcats covers I want to get signed. Like, there's a lot of covers. I also have this signed print. Just a second here. I have this cool art portfolio envelope with they gave you like prints, and then one of them was signed. I have the signed print right there. 90s signature Jim Lee. And anyway, there's a lot of stuff on the Wildcats side I would love to get signed, but it's one of those like time issues, and the opportunities get book signed by Jim Lee without going through the whole CGC thing, because it is exorbitant to go through the CGC route. But I'm just hoping, even the signing events here. I think if I do a signing event, it will like locally, like if I do the Emerald City again, I would pay up for that. Um, that was a great experience. And the fact that it's kind of pricey makes it a little exclusive. Not everybody's gonna do like 4 books or whatever. So, yeah. Anyway, we have a card here signed by Jim Lee. This Wildcats card, pretty cool. Got Marlowe there, Jacob Marlowe. Also, I have this cool collector's pin. This is all the connecting covers. It's just this metallic pin, commemorative pin from that era. Again, there's a signature that's somewhere. I don't have it with me here, but it comes with like a signature plaque and all that. It's pretty cool. All right. Yeah, signed copy of Wildcats 1 with the card. That's cool stuff. We got just kind of pick up things as we go, but we got this great Gen 13 Jim Lee signature. That's fantastic. We have Wildcats Silver Age Grifter cover there. That's a good one. This is one of 2,500 that was signed at the launch of this book. So this is a 1 of 2,500 copy with the COA. And we have this from Emerald City Comic Con. We got this sketch postcard of Grifter by Dustin Nguyen. How freaking cool is that? And this is the kind of stuff that Wu-Tang was like targeting, right? Some more original art, these conventions, commissions, and stuff like that. That's pricey. That's pricey, but I do see the thrill in doing that, seeking stuff like that. All right, we've got. I do see the value of it. We've got Fantastic Four here. #1 signed. I don't feel terribly awesome about this. It's not a great cover. It's not reflective of the great work he's done, both before and after this. But it is like sort of a historic run. It's he and Rob kind of return with their tails between their legs because their companies are struggling. So they kind of do stuff for Marvel again, make some money doing stuff for Marvel. And then, we've got this. Jim then sells the company. He sells Wildstorm Studios to DC for an undisclosed amount and goes to work for DC. And I have to actually show this one off because this one is it's a flex. It's a flex, and it's a flex in terms of like how I picked it up. it's So I was in Rochester, New York, for like a work event, and during um, my kind of like downtime, I went to the comic book shop there, and I found this, and it was priced at $9.99. I found it in the bins, um, and I brought it up, and the guy, luckily the owner, he did see it was a signed book, and he kind of let out this, but he let me keep the price. He didn't reprice it, and yes, I'm in brag mode tonight. Um, he did let me buy it for $10. And what we have here, I don't know if you can see the number. It's 2136 of 3,000 dynamic forces copy. These were again 2,500 copies that were signed at the launch or at the you know the publishing of this book, and Jim Lee was doing the promotional signatures here with dynamic forces on Batman 608. So this is like one of 3,000 dynamic forces copies that we picked up for $10. Okay, let that sink in. Let that sink in. All right. One of 3,000 Jim Lee first print, first edition copies of uh, Batman 608 direct edition Dynamic Forces COA book. Oof. That right there. That right there. That right there was a flex. That right there was a flex. I just gotta catch my breath here. Just flexing too hard. Oof. All right, so yeah, I'm in full brag mode tonight. I'm just showing off, like I don't do this every day. I would like to, but I don't do it every day. But I've been promising you guys to show off the Jim Lee signature collection, and I'm holding my end of the bargain now. So we've got this. This is a really crazy pickup. Um, so let me just show off. I just told you guys that what's behind me, the Superman Batman. That's the top signature book in my collection, and then the X-Men signature stuff. That's the second kind of you know it's the entirety. It's the connecting covers, and it's like the annual, and it's this first work in a book, uh, that scenario of books. But um, my third favorite piece in the collection, Jim Lee signature collection, is right here, and this is like just seriously one of his best covers of all time. Just flat out, this should be homaged more. Uh, he's already self homaged it. So he's one of the few artists like Neil Adams and himself who can self homage, come full circle and self homage themselves without getting flack for it. um, but yeah, so triple signature there: Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Alex Sinclair, and we also have the triple signatures here on this 613, the very next episode issue. We got Harley Quinn there on a poster, and yeah, what's great about this was I got both of these for like $50. It's like 25 a book or something like that. And I just remember being like that's insane. Like these are triple signed books each. Um, so I don't know what the circumstances were, but to get it for like $50 for both was insane to me. So like yes, this is like my third favorite signature book in the collection by Jim Lee. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. All right, and then this was a recent pickup, and again, I got this for like what was it, $18? Picked up Batman. This is actually a really fantastic Batman cover. It's unfortunate that it had all the run had all the issues that it did, but yeah, I mean, the expectation was really high for Frank Miller and Jim Lee, and then they just kind of like poop the bed and leave us hanging. But there's a bunch of great. This number one issue starts us off strong. There's a lot of great art, a lot of great paneling. It just kind of loses in the middle. It kind of loses steam, and of course I think they never even got around to finishing giving us an ending. So it's just one of those weird projects, and we have Frank to blame for that. So go call Frank. Um, we got this weird. It's Jim Lee's signature, and they also got David Finch's signature. And David Finch had nothing to do with this book outside of he was working at DC at the same time. So, um, yeah, go figure. Anyway, this is the Justice League New 52, David Finch and Jim Lee double signed book. And then we have this was a pickup from last weekend. We got Justice League number 12. Ooh, the Kiss cover. Oof, look at that. Look at that. She's like, tell me the truth. And he is responding. Oh my goodness. He cannot tell a lie. All right. So this is getting close to closing us out. We picked up this Batman. This was another one that I picked up really on the cheap. Like I think like 40 or $50. We got this ash can preview of Batman, and I mean, right off the bat, that's the one you want. And it's this Comics Pro official like ash can signed edition. So it was this exclusive Comics Pro ash can edition, and then they had the signing event. So this one's like I think comes with a COA and everything. It's just a fantastic pickup. Absolutely love that one. The sketch and the ash can size just make it really cool book to have. Um, all right, so the last two books here. Um, this is probably among the Batman covers that Jim Lee has done, and he's done so many fantastic Batman covers. I think he's done it to the point where people would probably like assign him. If there's a legacy character, they would probably assign it. Most fans would probably say, "Yeah, Jim Lee's Batman," right? Like they wouldn't maybe necessarily see Jim Lee's Superman because Jim Lee's Superman is more muted. It's not as cool. Like Batman has all these like cool weapons and like the suit look and color and feel. And in this one, I just feel like man, uh he brought something. He brought like what is that? It's like chainmail. What is that? It's just like he's in this uh battle armor, uh and it's so textured and layered. There's so many lines in that, in the legs there on the suit. It's fantastic. I mean, I don't know who he got to finish the lines on this, but it's incredible. And then the color, just the color that's like it's burning behind him, but it's like, see, like it's like painted or something. Like the color looks just, anyway. Yeah, fantastic pickup here on book 2, the variant cover of Batman Damned, issue 2, signed by you know who. All right, and then this would go down as, I think this would go down as my 4th favorite book, but I will say that when all is said and done, I think this will be, well, okay, let me just put it this way. No, this would be my number 1 favorite book outside of the X-Men. So this is the 3rd probably coolest Jim Lee signature book. And this one is, first off, a 9/8. We've got a convention exclusive variant. It's a foil version. It's a witnessed signature Jim Lee on December 1st of 2018. Action Comics 1000. CBCS signature, witness signature label there. Foil goodness, gold signature there, modern. That right there is, yeah, that's a flex right there too. Now that the I bet this is, I will bet you, because in terms of exclusive variants, they give these things out, but how many are actually signed by Jim Lee? I'm sure he did sign a bunch, don't get me wrong, but an exclusive like variant like this, if you get it, sometimes you don't get it signed, you just keep it, you just keep it raw. But if you, again, are thinking, you would go and get it signed. And anyway, they're probably signed copies. And then the other layer is getting it graded. And I just feel like all the copies that might have been signed would have probably gone to CGC, right? It probably would have been, verified there, and you'd ship it off to CGC to get graded there. But again, the person that got this signed was used CBCS. And so it begs a question of like, there's only so many of these exclusive variants that were printed. Usually they print like 1,000 of these. If they're overzealous, maybe 5,000, but it's usually 1 to 5,000 copies of the exclusive variants. And how many of those actually get signed? How many of those actually get CBCS signed and come back into 9/8? That's really the variable here that we don't know. Unless I look at the CBCS census data, which I don't know if they published it ever or if they keep some kind of record of it online somewhere, but that would be good information to know, because we may have a 101 here. That's just what this feels like to me. In terms of the CBCS 9/8, this feels like a 101. So anyway, that's a big book right there. If it is indeed one of a few CBCS signed 9/8s in the exclusive variant. That's kind of how you have to frame it. All right, we're going to give you a little bonus edition here. So obviously, Jim Lee signed books continue to be something I'm always looking for, always hoping to get signatures and opportunities to get books signed. So I'm just going to kind of present in order uh, things we would want signed by Jim Lee. And it's not a big, these are just sort of top of mind for me. Um, because you'll see. Anyway, let's just get to them. All right. So, should there be, actually, there's one more book. Hang on. Mm, all right. So I have this copy here of Detective Comics 1000, and it's grade worthy. I think it would come back in a 9.8. And we have like Alex Maleef, Peter Tomasi, and Neil Adams' signature right there in gold. So again, Jim Lee's signature right up here. Uh, in whatever he wanted to sign it in, gold, silver, whatever he wants, would just complete this book. And that I think we would slab, you know, the opportunity to, again, at a signing event. This is what I would probably take with me, and we would slab that one. So here's to Jim Lee coming to Seattle next year, please. All right, Jim, if you're listening, and I know you watch because you're a fan, um, please come to Seattle and make your signing event affordable for the little guys. All right, so we have here Michael Turner signed on the Superman 205 variant. Michael Turner's absolute marquee cover on Superman. And yeah, I love this book. I love everything about this book. This is kind of where I fell in love with Michael Turner. And it wasn't love at first sight. At first, it was so like juxtaposed to Jim's style. It was like, what is this? Like I was kind of like, but yeah, I mean, oh, man, in a lot of ways, like Michael Turner can just embarrass Jim Lee. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Anyway, this cover's fantastic. We got his signature, and we do want Jim Lee's signature because Jim Lee, of course, does the interior on this book. So a double Jim Lee Michael Turner signature, that would just make me so happy. I would just make me so happy. All right, you guys still there? All right, we got a full house here. Love it, love it. Um, here's another Jim Lee cover here. We have, and George Perez does the interiors on this book, and we have his signature here. So this is another one that just like it would just complete the book. Having Jim, these two were working on this book together, so it was a collaboration. And Jim's getting the opportunity as a DC employee to work with his long-standing idol. So yeah, that's just cool right there. It's a great cover too. Got some little things in the background there going on. OMAC. There's an OMAC sighting. Um, we also want this one signed. I just kind of, the thing is, like, a lot of people, there's a lot of signed copies on eBay. Every once in a while, one of these will pop up, and I think this is just like first off, this is a little bit more of a prevalent book, Marvel Age. Um, and then it is a great signature. You've got Jim Lee. This is the first cover appearance of Jim Lee, so it is worth getting signed. You got Scott Williams there. You get Scott Williams' signature. You get Will Portasio's signature. Um, I forget who that's supposed to be. I don't know who that's supposed to be. But anyway, um, it's a fun cover. It's a really fun cover. We get sexy Psylocke there, sexy with a PS, and yeah, uh, obviously a book we want signed at some point. Yes, this is what I would recommend. Yeah, if you guys are thinking of, hey, otaku, what kind of books? I guess the ones without signatures now we can kind of go over. Um, but yeah, I would recommend from this point on, if you're thinking about going to a Jim Lee signing, um, get the following. I mean, obviously, you could do the ones I've already shown. Those are good options as well. Um, I kind of want this one signed by Jim Lee, Action Comics One, and I want it signed. I want him to sign it not as an artist, but as the president of DC Comics. And we've got this great COA here where he's already signed it as he's the what is it publisher. This is when he was like the creative director or something like that, or the creative editor. Um, but yeah, this one would be a cool one to get signed, or at least that card signed. But I think I'd want to get the book signed and then get it back graded. Action Comics signed by Jim Lee, the Loot Crate edition, there with his DC. This is one I think I would get signed and then just keep raw. I wouldn't need to have this slabbed. Just having this like the COA there um, with the book would suffice. Yes, it would suffice. All right, this is a cool suit. Like I do want like more signed Jim Lee Superman books in my collection. And the thing about like Jim Lee Superman books is there's a lot of Superman covers that he's done, and they're not worth a lot because they've been, kind of mass produced. They're popular kind of runs. Anytime you have Jim Lee doing art on a book, it's going to sell comic books. So, you know, um, he's done like Superman Unchained is a great example. Uh, great series actually. I actually like this Superman Unchained series. It was pretty it was spectacular. But they put him in the suit without the undies, and that was my main issues. Like they pulled his panties down. Basically, they pulled his underwear off, and so yeah, that was the main thing. But fortunately, we don't have any underwear proof here, or no underwear proof here. We can assume he's wearing the underwear. That's how I'm going to look at it. But we've got this great sketch cover here. Um, it's just wow. Just wow. This is also a San Diego Comic Con international exclusive. So there are probably thousands of copies of this. I do want to get this signed. Now it won't be signed like I wouldn't have gotten it signed at the release of the book, but the rarity of the Comic Con exclusive, the fact that it's just a cool Superman cover there, um, yeah, just fantastic stuff. And how cool would that be if we had a color version of this as well? The color version would just be fantastic. But yeah, hoping to get that book signed at some point. That's one you probably if you don't have the exclusive, it may be tough. But there are actually a lot of copies online. You can probably find this, buy it for like $20, $30 or something. Um, this one, I have like four. I want to say four copies of this book. Um, I just pick it up every time I run into it. I also had, I think, two or three copies to begin with in my collection. Um, but yeah, it's Uncanny X-Men 268, the classic story of uh, them meeting in Hong Kong, these three meeting in Hong Kong, and yeah, they're investigating the hand or hand related activities. Uh, phenomenal, phenomenal cover. I mean, what more can you say about this? This is as iconic as they come. And fortunately for me, I don't would not necessarily take this to a signing event because for me, I could just go online right now and type Jim Lee signature 268, and there's probably five or six of these in like high grade graded copies, maybe even some newsstands. But again, this is the book you won't most people won't would bring to a signing event. So you're just going to have a lot of signed copies of this. This was has just been a fan favorite since Jim Lee published this book. So um, that's just something like to keep in mind. If you want rarity, there's other avenues, but yeah, who wouldn't want this book signed? So, but anyway, I'm probably gonna pick up this book, just hoping I pick it up cheap, like maybe $30-$40 online somewhere. A 90 signature would be even more incredible. So keeping my fingers crossed on this one. And this one as well. I early on, when I returned to collecting, I was just like, I want this book signed, and so we were gonna. This was the first book I was just gonna take to like one of the signing events and all that, because I just think it's his best like work from the Marvel era. Yeah, even better than this cover. I mean, as great as this cover is, this Feral Wolverine cover, man, that just takes the cake. Just rage unleashed. Look at that. Um, so yes, this book uh, would be nice to have in a signature. I again, just like this book, they're both uh, ones that you would bring and get signed for a lot of people, and so they're going to be a lot of those two particular books signed, and they're probably going to be on eBay. And again, you're not going to have to like. There'll always be a copy out there for sale. Is kind of my point. So that one, I'm kind of just waiting for the right opportunity, maybe the right price. But those ones will just kind of try to buy and not take to signing events, because I think for signing events, you do want to focus on some of the more, like, again, maybe like a book that's already signed, like kind of like a Michael Turner book, or a signature on a rare item, like a you know ratio variant or an exclusive. Um, but it mainly has to be cover art that speaks to you, that ultimately is like one of your favorite books, right? So, and those are some of my favorite books by Jim Lee, the Marvel books I just showed off. Um, so that is that. Let me just make myself big here. That was it. That was fun. Um, the Jim Lee collection has grown. The signature collection has grown. I actually kind of have um, a good amount of, as you saw, a good amount of Jim Lee signed stuff. Um, I mean, there are probably, I'm sure there are maybe some stranglers here and there, but for the most part, I do keep my Jim Lee signed books kind of all consolidated. But yeah, let me know. What do you guys thought of that? How's everybody doing? We got Ron in the house. We got my bro Jens. We've got Gordon. Uh, the usuals. And let me know what you thought of the Jim. I mean, is Jim Lee someone you guys collect? That's a I guess a great place to start. I know Jens has been picking up. He wants to pick up certain Jim Lee like cover keys. Um, Ron, yeah, yeah. You know, Jim Lee signed stuff. It's out there. There's a lot of Jim Lee signed stuff. You just got to be patient. They will pop up on eBay. Well below, kind of what current signature prices and rates go for. Because I think a lot of people they get these signed at like a convention or something or a meeting, and then they just want to, like give it, they want to get rid of it and get some value for it. So you see a lot of these like they're selling T-shirts and like everything lying around the house, and then they have this like Jim Lee sign book, and you're like, okay, all right, let me get buy that from you, lady. But yeah, you'll have stuff like that, and yeah. The prep for the show's going well. I've got a lot of the stuff priced. I've also surprisingly, it's good to go through your stuff again because I found some stuff in there. I was like, why am I selling that? I don't want to sell that. So I had to pull some books out. I've added like this book. We're selling ASM 332, a first Eric Larson Venom cover there. We're selling this one, the book I got for free last weekend. Looking for 25 for that one. That's about it. That's about it. Oh yeah, we're selling some signed books here as well. We got two signed books that I'm selling. We got David Nakayama Obi-Wan here. And then we've got Dan Jurgens' signature on the Return of Superman chromium cover. Cool books to have there. Those side books. That Superman side book is a smoking deal. 25 bucks for that. A Dan Jurgens signature. Man, who's hooking you up, huh? Oh, I didn't even show that off. I was that the camera was still on. Shows you where my head's at. All right. I'm gonna quit blabbing now. Let you guys get back to your regular scheduled programming and lives. But thanks for hanging out with me. This was fun. I love showing off my books. So um, yeah, the Jim Lee. I like where the Jim Lee signature collection. It's grown. I like where it is. We just need a few of those other priority books signed or added to the collection. And we're always looking out for Jim Lee signed stuff. So it'll be hiding there in the crevices or corners of like a collection or a box. You just never know. So do your diligence. Look for signatures when you're out there as well. But yeah, we're gonna go. I don't know what we're doing this weekend, Jens. You tell me, but I'll do whatever Jens wants me to do. But I would prefer not to go buy comic books. I'd prefer to prep for next week, the following weekend, and we can do that. We need to hunt. Oh man, we're already having the conversation. All right, well we could do that too. I guess we could hunt. I've been on a I've been on a tear. I'm afraid of my powers sometimes. The powers are I don't know what it is, but we get some good luck, and Yeah, Jason, that haul from Jason's, whether it was intentional or unintentional, he hooked us up. He hooked us up, and so shout out to Jason. Um, yeah, I mean, I have my space reorganized. Now it's like I'll just walk you through. So up there's just a bunch of like manga and shelf books. We kind of put all the books that are non-comic book related stuff, just kind of shoved it back there. So there's no comic books in that first cubby. Second cubby, we got the statue there. Again, the signed and sketch copy in a 9.6 CGC. Plus, next to the books, we have a bunch of my top loader slabs or top loader books. And the books up there are, I believe, the Silver Age Action Comics and Superman books. That's where the Silver Age Action Comics and Superman, like the higher grades, the nicer key stuff is up there. Behind Wonder Woman, we have, again, top loaders of female superheroes. So a lot of just like, good girl type sexy art covers there. In the Batman cubby, we've got a bunch of Batman graphic novels. Batman Year One all the way to Batman The Dark Knight Returns. We got Batman Hush, All Star Batman, and A Death in the Family, and also the Japanese little book there. I'll put it back up there. Action Comics, we've got all signature books. There's a bunch of signature books behind that cubby. And then this one has a bunch of my like artist books like Brian Bolland, also Alex Ross, like hardcover editions, plus a bunch of like the Michael Turner book, the Jim Lee, like Wizard hardback editions. But in here is also like DC uh, top loader books, so like older DC, some of the DC keys. Um, Behind here we have the what do we have here? I'm not sure what I have behind there. This one we have Neil Adams signature and Neil Adams key books. That one just has a cut of the Superman books, but it holds my statue box. And behind there we have slabs. I put some of my, overlapping. I just don't have the space, so all the extra slabs are back in that cubby. And then this cubby here is where I got the Jim Lee books. So the Jim Lee books will be going back there, and that is that. All right, guys. Now I am really truly signing off. So we'll see you back here on Friday on Jens's channel. We'll see you back here Friday at Collector Brains channel. So look out for us there. Peace. See you in the next one.